I just admitted someone into the meeting.
Which one is it, Ryan? You know what it is?
It's a phone number. It ends in 2801.
Oh no, that's public portion.
Oh, that's a public
portion. Okay.
Remember, we have a public portion on this.
Yes.
Special meeting. We still do. Okay, ready? We're live. Oh, Mr. President, we're live, sir. When you're ready.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Paterson Municipal Council, I welcome you to the special meeting of the Municipal Council. The meeting is now called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, Mr. President. Roll call for Municipal Council Special Emergency Meeting, January 12th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Councilman Abdelaziz?
Present.
Councilwoman Khan?
Present.
Councilman Davila? Here. Councilman Jackson? Councilman Kalik?
Here, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Councilman Mendez?
Present, Madam Clerk. Good evening.
Good evening. Councilman Mims?
Here, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Councilman Velez? Mr. President.
Here, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, will you please read the special meetings notice?
Mr. President. City of Paterson, notice of meeting without 48-hour advance published notice as an exception to the ordinary advance notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. Please be advised that the Municipal Council of the City of Paterson has scheduled a special meeting for Tuesday, January 12, 2021 at 6 p.m., half an hour before the regular scheduled workshop held via WebEx due to the current pandemic. As is the practice for City of Paterson public meetings, over the course of the current pandemic, the meeting was broadcast on the City of Paterson YouTube channel and our Channel 77 Cablevision and our Channel 32 Verizon, with remote participation in the public portion. We dial into, the number to dial is 973-321-1579, and ID code is 8326, and you press *3 to be added to the speaker list. The ordinary notice requirements of the Public Meetings Act, codified in pertinent part at NJSA 10:4-8D and NJSA 10:4-9A, would require this notice to be published no later than 6 p.m. on Sunday, January 10, 2021. However, it was necessary to call this meeting pursuant to NJSA 10:4-9B because of a matter of such urgency and importance that a delay for the purpose of providing adequate notice would be likely to result in substantial harm to the public interest. NJSA 10:4-9B 1, to be addressed by the potential adoption of the following. Resolution authorizing calendar year 2021 budget temporary appropriations. This is for the month of January through March 2021. And this resolution supersedes resolution number 2725, which was adopted on December 29, 2020. Formal action will be taken. The said matter of such urgency and importance that, if delayed, would be likely to result in substantial harm to the public interest, NJSA 10:4-9B1, was that the adoption of January through March 2021 temporary appropriations via resolution of December 29, 2020 was 3 days premature under NJSA 48:4-19, and thus, in order for the city to pay its day-to-day expenses, a replacement resolution had to be adopted without delay. On Friday, January 8, 2021, the meeting was called and notice was given by posting at City Hall, 155 Market Street, by filing it with the city clerk, and by sending the notice by fax or email to the Herald News, the Record, and other newspapers used for public notices as required by NJSA 10:4-9B3. other than a short public portion required by NJSA 10:4-12A, this meeting without 48-hour advance published notice was limited to discussion of and/or action on the above described matter. Mr. President.
Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers for the public portion?
Okay, just let me check with IT, if there's anyone. Just give me a second, Mr. President. Not yet. There's no one else, Mr. President. Do you want us to give them a couple of minutes? Maybe 2 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, so in the meantime, I'm going to set the clock for 2 minutes and then I'll repeat the number just in case anyone wants to call in within that time. Thank you. For the public portion for the special meeting at 6 p.m., the number to dial, anyone wishing to participate in the public portion may dial 973-321-1579, enter code 8326, and press star 1 if you wish to listen to the meeting. Press star 2 to leave a recorded comment, and press star 3 to be added to that speaker list. Mr. President, we just wait.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Khalid.
while we wait, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, what percentage of the budget is in there from the total budget?
What was that? I'm sorry.
What percentage of the total budget in this temporary,
So,
yes.
by law, it's supposed to be 26.25% of the previous year budget. That doesn't mean as a whole, that doesn't mean that they cannot increase a department.
Okay, but what is the exact number now?
It should be that. It cannot be more than that. It has to be that.
26%. Okay, 26%. Okay, if you look at the last page, sewer, utility, we are budgeting, about $3.8 million, for this temporary appropriation.
That's correct.
Is that also 26%?
Correct. That's a little less, but that payment is for Passaic Valley Sewage.
Correct. But, so what's the total yearly budget for the, our sewer utility?
18 million.
18 million?
Yes.
No. As I recall, previous year, I believe our total sewer budget was like 6 million or so, or a little bit more than 6 million.
No. So,
No, the sewer utility, when we went to a sewer utility, it was, I think the first year was 19 million. Last year, the transition year was 9 million, and this year is gonna be 18 million.
Transition year was 9 million.
Correct, that's because it was 6 months.
Mr. President, for the public portion which is open, so far we have no one and it exceeded 2 minutes when you're ready.
yeah, could we close, Councilman Khalid, that's a good conversation, and we're gonna continue.
I'm still a little confused.
No, but we're gonna continue the conversation. Could we have a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close public portion.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Mendez, second by Councilwoman Mims. Roll call, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mr. President. Roll call to close the public portion of the special meeting, emergency meeting for 6 p.m. Councilman Abdelaziz. Councilman? He's not there. Mr. Wenton?
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Dagon there. Councilman Tariq?
Yes.
Councilman Mendez?
Yes.
Councilman Mims?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Mr. President?
Yes.
The vote is 5 in favor, 4 absent. The public portion for the special meeting for 6 p.m. is hereby closed. Okay, read the other item now, Mr. President.
Yes, Madam Clerk.
Next item on the agenda is resolution item number 1. Item number 1 reads, Resolution authorizing calendar year 2021 budget temporary appropriation. This is for the months of January through March 2021. This resolution superseding resolution number 2725 adopted on December 29, 2020. Administration, resolution 21001. Is there a motion? Have a motion?
This is the,
I lost you there for a minute, Madam Clerk. So,
Okay. Did you want me to read again?
yes, if you don't mind.
Okay. Next item is item number 1, resolution authorizing calendar year 2021 budget temporary appropriations for the month of January through March 2021. This resolution superseding resolution number 2725, which was adopted on December 29, 2020. Administration resolution 21001.
Do we have a motion to approve a temporary budget?
I thought this was temporary appropriation.
Correct.
Right, but you said budget, but it's
Same thing.
temporary.
Same thing.
Okay, it's temporary appropriation, well, I move it.
Moved by Councilman Khan.
Moved by Councilwoman Khan.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Do we have a second? Madam Clerk, I'll second this so we can have a discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. I have it, Mr. President.
So discussion. Councilman Khalid, you had a previous question. I want to continue it now.
As I recall, before we created the sewer utility, we used to collect a little more than $3 million from the sewer bidding, correct?
No, it was
No.
more.
We collected, I believe, 12.5 million.
Yeah.
12.5 million?
Yeah, so Councilman Khalid, the bill from Passaic Valley Sewer Commission alone is probably around 12 million or 13, right?
That's
Yep.
13 about.
13, and then we have other expenses, like, we have the office here, and now also they have now that we have a utility, the expenditures for repairing the sewer is also, the debt service is also part of that expense. So, in total, it's about 18, that's what you said, right, Javier?
Right, so fiscal 20 was 18, and this transition year was 9 million.
Okay, thank you.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Jackson.
so just in continuing the same questioning, so if the last year we collected 19, and then the transitional year we collected 9 million, which is actually putting us on par with the same number, 18 million, for 6 months, if our 6 months appropriation in the past would have been possibly equivalent to 6 million. So where has the additional expenditures been? Where have we spent the additional excess of $6 million or so? It's actually
No, go ahead, Javier, go ahead.
So, the first year we had a small surplus of about 700. The transition year, it's not complete yet, but it looks like we're gonna have another small surplus of close to 600. So that's about $1.3 million. Now, the way that works is it goes into a surplus. That goes into the surplus for the sewer utility itself.
so if we're paying the Passaic Valley Sewer Commission $12 million and we collected $19 million the first year, how do we only have a surplus of $700,000? That's what my question is. Where are the additional expenditures? We understand that there's going to be some additional costs, and if we're absorbing the debt service for repair and services, how are we doing that? Where's that money being spent? Are we outsourcing it to third-party companies? Are they being paid to companies who are um, uh, political supporters. Where's the additional expenditures, and why haven't we seen a list of?
Okay, so the budget was 18 million. So 13 million was Passaic Valley sewage. About $1.5 million was sewer here in finance and water division in DPW, and about 4.4 was the debt payments, the NJIT payments, and the bond payments.
Oh, Councilman Jackson, can I interject for a minute? So this is what I try to explain to the administration for a long time. That if you could recall, the former other mayors were always struggling to balance their budget, right? But all we did for this administration was actually, when we created this utility, the residents were supposed to see a benefit because the non-for-profits and other entities were going to pick up most of the burden. The way it was set up before, whatever deficit we had, we were only collecting like 12, but we still had $18 million worth of expenses, more or less. But that was being picked up by the regular taxpayers. Now, let me ask you a question, Madam DA. Javier just stated that the sewer utility is picking up the salaries for the sewer division, which makes sense, right? And also for the DPW, a portion of DPW. Did we reduce those budgets by those amounts?
Yes.
Javier?
Yes.
Both of them were reduced by that amount.
Correct. They're not in the regular budget.
So
They're
we
not in the
actually,
city budget.
no, I understand they're not in the city budget, but did we actually have a reduction in expenditures in those budgets?
Yes, because they're basically in the sewer utility. So those budgets got moved to the sewer utility.
Okay, no, because in an ideal world, right, if sewer went up, the taxes should have gone down. And that never happened. Never happened.
The reason that never happened is because we were getting, I think that first year we got 33 million from state aid. The second year we got 24.
Javier, we know why, Javier.
Oh, well,
That's not what we're saying, right? The DCA want us to reduce on a yearly basis. They want us to reduce, what we're asking them for, transitional aid. It's just, the simple question is, that we're supplanting any deficiencies with additional fees. We have increased fees and everything else. So now, we already passed this budget. So right now, we have a lot of questions and we could continue to entertain those questions. But this is basically a temporary budget of 26.25%. And it's based on last year's expenditure. So, Councilman Abdelaziz.
Councilman.
Councilman Jackson, I'm sorry, you still have the floor.
Yeah, I apologize, you interrupted me, but that's one, I would like to see the list of expenditures. I would like to see a breakdown of the sewer division of the $1.5 million that we're absorbing there, as well as where the, Javier, if you could please make note of this. I would like to make sure I have this by tomorrow if possible. I want to see the list of expenditures the excess money that we raised, because the point you raised, Council President, is where I was going. Not only have we not provided our residents with some relief, if that is the case, if there's been a reduction in certain line items, then the residents should be able to see some type of relief somewhere. But the majority of residents have taken on a tremendous impact from the sewer, and we still have yet to have it revised. This administration has been promising to take a look at the process in which the billing is being calculated, and it has yet to be done. So the last question I have, Council President, is for you. Tonight's emergency meeting was called by whom?
By me.
By the Council President. Okay.
I brought up an issue, and after further research with the state, I asked the CFO actually to call the state. I checked the statutes. Basically, something didn't make sense to me that we voted on a temporary budget before the year started. And the statute does say that a budget must be basically passed within the first 30 days. The only temporary expenditures that we could do 10 days before the year end is for debt service and interest on our debt service, because those payments are usually due on the first or the second of the month, depending on on, if it's a Saturday or Sunday or a Monday. So usually on the first of the month or two. But I asked the administration, I had a concern. It didn't make sense that a governing body would pass a temporary budget before the year started. And the state recommended that we do it again after I brought this up.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President,
Hold on, we have two people. We have Councilman Abdelaziz and Councilman Kalik, and then Councilman Abdelaziz.
Thank you, Council President. I'm going to be very brief. I have two questions. Javier, the line items that were moved from the DPW and the sewer division, how much was that again? Approximately, it doesn't have.
About $1.5 million, $5 million, somewhere.
Alright, so this is where I think we need to see something, Madam VA, as a business administrator. So we move 1.5. What's in DPW? How much do we save there? Or do we move out of DPW's budget?
At the DPW, it was 800.
So
I'm sorry, 1.1.
1.1 million was moved from the DPW budget, and where did that 1.1 million go? Because the DPW budget has increased, right? So did that 1.1 million dollars get reinvested in DPW, or was it allocated in other departments, Madam BA? So that's my first question. Because if you're telling me, all right, because when it comes to fees and reallocating fees, and the council president and I are going to be working on something to provide property tax relief, that if it's put out the right way, when you put fees, and we said the nonprofits or the ones that are going to pick up the burden, it's supposed to ease the burden on the residents, and we didn't do that. So that 1.1 million should have went back to the taxpayers. Right? The tax levy should have been less by 1.1 million. That's an ideal budgeting format in towns that have their finances in order, right? We take out 7 million here, we put it out in fees, that means the levy goes down 7 million, which is property tax relief. So where did that 1.1 million go? When you introduce your budget, well, I don't know what your plans are. When you do introduce your budget, I want to know where that 1.1 million has gone. And secondly, to piggyback on that, when are you planning, or when is the administration planning to introduce their budget? Do you have a date set that are approximate date that you guys will be introducing the budget? Just for the record. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Madam Mayor?
Sure, Council President. First question, it's really, and I can let Javier sort of explain this if I'm not explaining it correctly, but it's that our overall budget goes down.
Right.
So, for example, in the past, it used to be closer to 270. But our last year, if Javier can look at, maybe what the last year was before the utility, the overall budget was, a 270 amount, and now our yearly budget, our appropriation side projected for this year is like 245. So
Can I interrupt you for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
No. So when you do that type of presentation to the council, you have to take out all the grants from there.
mm-hmm.
Because it's all about timing. Like, we could play with the numbers
Right.
like this. It's all about, you gotta take out the grants.
The grants are out. I was just looking at, and if we want to let the CFO drive this conversation, I was looking at his projected, the numbers that we're working with right now for this year's budget.
Well,
And that's without grants in it.
and
But
go ahead.
that's what you essentially move the cost from one place to another. That cost still exists. It still is then part of the revenue that's collected, and it goes directly in the
So-
sewer part, but it's not part of the tax burden necessarily, which is what, it was the tax burden that was filling the gap previously, that we weren't covering all of our sewer expenses with our sewer collections.
And I understand that, Madam VA, but listen to what we're saying, right? When you're moving that 1 million into a utility, then I'm paying to cover that utility the fees, right? So one has to give. One has to give, or you're spending $1 million more, right? I'm just
But
gonna-
as Council President noted, our TA progressively decreases every year.
And that.
And so that's where some of that money, if you think about it that same way.
Because at my point, and I think a lot of council members stated, I want to look at it from the two big things for me is, all right, the services we're providing, great, the grants, but what's the tax levy? What are we generating from the property tax, from the property tax payers and what's out there? Well, we could discuss that further.
We could discuss it, yeah, we could discuss it another time, but
The introduced date of the budget.
that's a good point.
Oh, yeah, so we did get our local finance notice that introduction of the budget can be all the way through March 30th. Our goal, we did have a goal of February. I think that there are still a few open items that we need to finalize to make sure that the departments have the tools they need. I know recreation, we were just finalizing their budget. It came in, it's something that we want to make some changes, and it wasn't necessarily part of the budget hearing, so we want to have conversations with the council. So our aim still is either late February or early March.
When do we get the transition? Councilman Kalik is next. When do we get the numbers from the state? Because normally they're in a fiscal year. That's why we did this move. When do we already have the numbers of how much we're getting next year?
Since we're abiding by the 85% mark, we believe that is something that, while we won't have an official award letter, we are operating under that, they are operating under it, and so we'll be able to continue. The award letter won't come until I think, a little bit later for adoption. That's what we always have to wait on. But for introduction, we always just use the number with that 85%.
So hopefully we could adopt our budget early this year.
Yes.
Within the, a few moments after we introduce it, we should be able to adopt.
Our hope is, they have their application cycle for transitional aid is a little different. There is a cycle for calendar year cities and for fiscal year cities. So that is likely going to open in March or April. And hopefully they're trying to have a quicker turnaround with their awards as well.
All right, Councilman Kalik, and then maybe we could entertain a vote.
Thank you, Council
And
President.
Councilwoman Cotton, go ahead.
I have a simple question. How much have we collected or billed for sewer billing last year?
For the transition year? For the
No,
transition?
the regular year, right? Regular year.
The regular year, we billed 18, hold on one second. About 18 million.
So
fiscal 20.
So Javier, this is, I know you just took office right now, and this is something that gets me really upset. I asked the administration to send me the list of bills for the year, and their bills were up to 21 million. And I had an issue, because if your expenses are 18 million, why were we billing close to $21 million? This is something you need to look at, because we're not in the business of making money, right? We're in the business of providing services, and what we gotta try to do is actually have our utility be self-sustaining.
So,
But you don't overbill by $3 million.
sorry to interrupt, but there was never any time we would bill 21 million.
I received the actual breakdown of all the bills for all the properties and everyone that he went to, and it was over 20-something million. Let me remind you of something, Javier. There was a time that your indirect billing for businesses were incorrect. I pointed that out to the former CFO. They went and corrected those billings. There was other errors that were probably caught, and they increased those billings accordingly. But just so you know, I have a report before me. Whenever I speak with a fact, and this is a conversation that I had with the BA several times. So, Madam BA, do you recall having this conversation with me?
Yes, I know. I don't remember the exact number, but I do remember that we were talking about around 20 million. But it might have been, I don't know if it was over or if it was under.
It was about 21 million.
We were talking about 20.
So the original number that I believe was billed incorrectly was about 19.5. And then after, I don't know.
So look into it. Madam BA, could you please send Javier that list? And let's make sure that, and where are we with the request that I asked about the billing for the school district?
I'm unaware of it, but I can send it to you. You want all billing for?
No. Hear me out for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Many months ago, I questioned the billing for the for the school district. I'm not gonna bring up the story again, because it's not too pleasant, but all I'm gonna say is that I have to take it upon myself, and that's not my job as a councilman. I had to ask the district for the bills, because I didn't see any action from the administration. And I was told that the city billed them for about 30 properties, 29, 30 properties. The district has about 50-something properties, and some of them are leased, so not all of them get a bill. So on the minimum, we should have had at least, I would say, 45 bills, give or take, to the school district. We only have 30 as of the time, or 29 as of the time that I checked. And that was a few months ago. I want to know where we stand with that, Madam BA.
Yes, and I'll have to, I know the previous CFO was working on that, because the item that she brought up was saying that maybe they don't have water meter readings in the same way, which was the basis of the sewer readings. So we'll connect with Javier, see if her sewer staff was working on it, so that we can give an update.
All right, that was, once again, that was a few months ago. Councilwoman Cotton.
Council President.
Let me just remind my colleagues, we're supposed to have a meeting at 6:30. I know this is important, but Councilwoman Cotton, I didn't say this comment because of you, by the way.
Okay.
You never speak, Councilwoman, so just.
I just wanna say to, Javier, I know we're talking about, the sewer thing right now, but, this, budget piece that we get ready to vote on now is for the month of January, March. Majority of the money in there is for salaries. I know we have to pay, but I just wanna say to my council colleague, we still gotta vote each meeting for when you pay out this money. Am I correct, Javier?
That's correct.
Right, so this is like, we have to set aside this money, for the next 3 months to pay out these bills. And some of them may get paid and some of them may not get paid. But I know, I just wanna say that these, we're talking about the sewer authority, utility now. And right now, and I said it over and over and over, I got two sewer breaks in my ward that's been there, one for 5 years, one for 3 years. And they're costing each $1 million to fix, so that's gonna have to be included. Those are some of the main issues that we were having, that our sewers were collapsing so badly that we needed to get this stuff fixed. But I have 2 major ones in the 4th ward that gotta get on the list, they gotta be able to get fixed this year sometimes, and that will all come under the sewer authority. But we're putting money aside January, March. Majority of this money is for salaries. Hopefully, not hopefully, but maybe we'll pay other stuff, but majority of this money right now, you called it budgetary, I call it appropriation, but, and I think they're correct that it should have been voted on in January and not in December. That was the correct way, because you gotta vote on the same year that it is, so. But those 2 major things, Javier, when you, start putting the budget together, I got 2 bad sewer breaks in my ward that's been there 5 years, 3 years, that gotta get done. So, thank you, Council President, thank you, Madam B, I know that I'll send you an email and let you know what they are, but the main reason for putting the sewer authority together was because we had so many sewer breaks and we were spending $5 million, $10 million a year just on emergency, sewer repairs. Thank you, Council President.
Council President.
Councilman Velez.
Thank you, Council President. I just, first of all, want to apologize to the leadership of this council. I was in a personal family funeral, attending a funeral, so awake, sorry. So I apologize that I log in at this time. Second, I understand that what we're voting today is the same item that we voted in December, but it had to be voted in a calendar year, correct?
Correct.
So the numbers do not change, correct?
Correct.
And the purpose of it will not change from December.
Correct.
Yep, correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Madam BA and Council President. I just want to make sure that we're not voting a add-on to the amount of figure.
end question. So I just want to make sure that we are still on the same page regarding that. There was a question. I know that Madam BA stated that she's going to make a try to present the budget of February starting March, understanding that February only had 28 days. I would like to see that before the first meeting, because there's a lot of questionable things. We want to make sure that the constituents and the taxpayer receive the service that they are expecting. If there's no changes and introduction of the budget is going to be a lengthy conversation, because we had a lot of lengthy conversation in the presentation or hearings of the budget. But in this time, Council President, thank you for the opportunity to give me to speak. And once again, I apologize to my colleagues that I logged in late in this meeting.
Yes, and Councilman Mendes?
Just, Council President, I will make my comment on my vote, just move a little bit forward with this meeting. I know we have a workshop meeting ready.
All right, so,
You wanted to continue with the roll call?
yes,
Mr. President?
yes, Madam Clerk.
All right, so I need at least exactly 5 votes to adopt this resolution. Roll call for item number 1 for approval, Councilman Abdelaziz.
Yes.
Okay, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Jackson. I will say Councilman Cotton.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome, sir.
So first and foremost, before I vote, I want to put something on the record just for a point of clarity. This body, this council did not approve the formation of a sewer utility for the purpose of making sure that sewer repairs were done. In fact, the entire point for putting in petition the sewer utility is to make sure that those who were not contributing to the infrastructure, whether it was repair and or just general use, such as nonprofits, the hospital specifically, and various entities such as this that were going on without being taxed fairly. That was the point. That was the sales pitch. That was the initiative for putting this thing in place, and that has been a gross failure. It's not happened. I've asked repeatedly for a number of different things. All the time, I ask for things from this administration, and it's a failure just in the reporting. For an example, the lawsuits that have been placed forward since the administration has taken place, I've not gotten it. I've asked today on record that I get a full copy, a full report of the expenditure list for the sewer. And lastly, before I vote, I think it's a travesty that we find relief by obviously burdening the taxpayers further. So many taxpayers came to the table expressing their displeasure because they're paying additional revenue for the sewer utility. But we find relief, and we strip the money from our DPW budget with the with the swift hand, and not telling the council where this money is being utilized. So we could have seen an increase in recreation for $1.5 million, which would have been an absolute great win for our community. When we talk about the violent crimes taking place in our city, that this administration has done absolutely nothing outside of trying to add more policing to the situation. We talk about curbing violent crimes. That's how you do it. The last point that I'll make, we have failed, our children across the board. In fact, the state has continuously funded our school district because they're funding us at 80%. Well, as I learned to find out, we are underfunding our children at a level of only 60%, 60 to 65%. So if there was another increase or a way that we have managed to find additional revenue and we cut it from someplace, not to provide it to our youth. When last year we have hit a mark of the 30-year all-time high on violent crimes, and we had a violent crime the first day of this year, I have no idea what direction we're going into, and the level of lack of, or let me say the lack of accountability from this council is just saddening. So with that being said, I cannot support it because it has not, I have not been shown that the level of responsibility to the public is there, and therefore my vote is no, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Councilman Kalik? Councilman Kalik?
Yes, Madam Clerk, well, my vote is yes.
Thank you. Councilman Mendez? Councilman.
Pass for a minute, Madam Clerk. Pass.
Okay. Councilman Mims?
Yes, Madam Clerk, my vote is yes.
Thank you. Councilman Glass?
Madam Clerk, as I stated in the beginning, this is something that we approved in December, but now we have it in front of us because we had to go accordingly with the calendar year. The circumstances have not changed. The needs of this temporary budget appropriation are needed. We have a responsibility as a legislator making sure the administration fulfill their responsibilities with third parties out there. And this represents the service that the constituents expected. If we don't put the money in the bucket, we cannot pay and we cannot move forward with salaries, responsible insurance, in-house insurance, or whatever it is. It's a responsibility to do it. There's other issues that we could talk tonight, but I always gotta say, let's take it day by day and make sure that this administration is full aware that this council want to make them accountable and responsible of this next 2 years of this administration. So, Madam Clerk, nothing has changed my mind regarding my last vote in December. The only thing is 2021, my vote is yes for this one.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Mendez?
For just waiting for me, Madam Clerk.
Yes, your name. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just logging in and making sure my laptop is fully charging. Madam Clerk, before my vote, and Council President, I just yield my time to just make my comment at the end of the vote. It's understanding that we have a workshop meeting. But this, and let me just take this time, and Councilman Shaheen Khalid to start this topic with the appropriation that we put in on the sewer division, which is 3.6 million. But Council President, you were correct when you say that the city collect around over 20 million, close to 21 million. I still remember that conversation. I was doing a follow-up, and I've been questioning, even though I was not at the council back then. I went in front of the important public portion just to demand the administration to go deep into this situation and look into the incredible increase that we put it in the back of the taxpayer. Now, Councilman Jackson said it clear. I mean, the whole idea of this, and I still remember this, was to, make sure that we build those entities that are not in the tax roll, to make sure that they pay say fair share on, the city side. And that never happened. And we weren't easy in start building our homeowners. And I mentioned on the special meeting that we have on the fiscal and the finance committee meeting that I was dealing with the sewer situation today. With 2 homeowners, and as we all know, as a Cali, we all receive phone calls left and right from just a specific situation. And a lot of us are mentioning when we're gonna have a discussion about this. When we're going to talk about this, because this is a serious problem. A lot of the homeowners, they've been hit with almost 300% on their sewer increase, and we still have not building those big entities that we have in the city of Paterson correctly. I mean, it's really concerning to me that, and the expenditure is 18 million, a little bit more than 18, and we're collecting 21, and our taxpayers have not seen any break on any way or form. Council President, we have to bring this topic. And until we don't find a solution, I think that as a respect from our taxpayer, we definitely have to bring this topic and have a discussion, because there's got to be a change of this. If there's a saving, our taxpayer, they got to see the saving somewhere. So we collecting more revenue, but we're spending more money. So I think that that's the frustration that I'm feeling, and I know that this is a temporary appropriation that we're voting on, but the administration needs to understand that we are here to represent the public, the taxpayer, and we want to answer. And not only just, and I need to go back this, because this is going to be my first opportunity in my voting in this special item, Council President. Last Tuesday, we had spent over here almost 2 hours talking about the COVID-19 testing to go back to the 6th day. A week after, I haven't seen any action. The administration, they listened to our concern, and all of us, we agreed that they have to go back to the 6th day, and until this time, the damage is already done. It's been a week, and only here is promise. And that's the level of frustration that you feel. So I definitely, we have to find a different way to hold this administration accountable. But those are the topics that we have to bring into the table. My vote is no.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. President?
So council members, I'm glad we had this conversation today. And I want to ask this administration to have a conversation with the state, because I noticed that anything, and I've been saying it, this is not the first time I say it, anytime the administration wants something done, they ask DCA either to approve it or to put it in the memorandum of understanding. Now, what I don't understand is this. If we're able to absorb the reduction in the transitional aid, why can't we also provide some relief to the taxpayers? I'll tell you why I'm saying that. Right now, we have a memorandum of understanding that says that we have to increase the levy by 2%. Javier just stated that we have a surplus in our utility of about 1.5 million, right? Normally, you have several options. You could grab that 1.5 and anticipate it in our budget as surplus, right, as revenue. That could be a relief to the taxpayers. And let me correct myself for the previous discussion. I looked it up, Javier. It is 20, we billed 20 million, but then there were some adjustments that had to be done by March, by the former CFO, because I pointed out that your billing was incorrect for the industrial billing, for the industrial entities. The billing was incorrect. And she went on to actually increase those billings by an amount called indirect billing from Passaic Valley Water Commission. You're familiar with that. But all I'm saying is, look, the council have increased escrow fees, right? Which is, the purpose of it was to reimburse the taxpayers for expenses not related to services. It was related, those expenses are related to buildings that are being, or projects that are being erected in the city. We also created the sewer utility with the hopes of shifting the burden from the taxpayers into other entities that don't pay the taxes, like Councilman Abdelaziz stated. Councilman Jackson is 100% correct. We did not create a utility so we could fix our sewer. Our sewer would be fixed through bond ordinances. That was not the purpose. The purpose is to, provide some tax relief to the taxpayers. And then we also have increased other fees throughout the city in the hopes of improving services. You have a planning board right now that is not even meeting. Some people can't even submit projects to be evaluated. And we have implemented all these fees. So, we cannot use as an excuse forever that because of COVID, we cannot improve certain things. That is not the case. We're paying workers to work. So last time I voted yes on a temporary, and I have never seen, I used to laugh when people used to vote no on temporary appropriations, because it's not even the introduced budget. It's basically a budget that we're going to use for the next 3 months until we adopt our budget, right? But the only thing that gets to me is though, after we had that meeting pertaining to the COVID testing, I would like to see some money being shifted into the line item to support the testing of to support our testing. At this time, my vote is no on this budget.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. The vote is 5 in favor, 3 against, 1 absent. Item number 1 is hereby adopted. There are no more items on the agenda, Mr. President. May I entertain a motion?
Can I just make a request, to, Madam Clerk? Can you send me, 2 weeks ago, this item was presented and it was voted upon by the council? Can you just send me, the resolution? I would like to see it, of what that vote structure was like 2 weeks ago, please?
Yes, I'll have Sophie to scan it over now.
Madam Clerk, quick comment to my colleagues.
Yes.
So Javier, I want my colleagues to witness this. That year, we our budget was 18 million approximately, and we built 20 million. That's 2 million more. I want to make sure that we bill whatever our budget is. That's what we're billing. I understand the way it was sold is that, in case we have a deficit. Well, if we have a deficit, we have some delinquent sewer bills that are still going to be paid. That should take care of that. So please bill the amount that we're supposed to bill. We don't want to bill we don't want to overbill. Madam Clerk, can we entertain a motion now to close the meeting?
Yes, sir. May I have a motion to close the special meeting of January 12th, 2021?
Move.
Second.
Is that?
Moved by Councilman Abdelaziz, second by Councilwoman Mims. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mr. President. Roll call to close the special emergency meeting January 12th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Councilman Abdelaziz?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. But since we're talking about the budget, I'm going to put brief remarks. Corporation Counsel, if you're on here, and Madam VA, it's my council colleagues. I've been working on, along with my confidential aide, about language on how to bring relief to the taxpayer. I'm not going to say property tax relief, because the BCA states you can't give property tax cuts. I'm looking to establish a rebate program for Paterson Paterson residents that own property in the city of Paterson. And Corporation Counsel, I think we had a brief discussion. I just want to, this is going to start speeding up. I know I spoke to the council president. Just like the senior freeze rebate that seniors get it from the state of New Jersey, I want to bring that to the Paterson residents only, not investors. You have to be a Paterson resident. The senior freeze program are for people at a certain age. This is for Paterson residents. It'll be in the budget. It's similar to if there's a surplus in a division, that money goes into that program. There's a formula in that program, and every year the people sign up to that program and get a rebate. And that is the DCA. It's not cutting taxes. Our levy's still the same. We're just reallocating resources into a program that we're running in our city. It's a line item. It's a budget item. Corporation Counsel, I wanted to start working on this. I just need the verbiage, the legalities in that. We've been researching. We got some things, but I want to put on the record. This is something I want that I think this council. I'm willing the council to work with us. Create a program for Paterson resident property owners, a rebate program. We'll bring up a name for it where they'll sign up, get a formula. The council will allocate money into that program, and every year hopefully they get a rebate program, and maybe one first of its kind in the state. I don't know, but we have to think outside the box. My vote is yes.
Councilwoman Khan?
What are we doing?
We're closing the meeting.
I don't know where we at right now. What we doing, Madam Clerk?
We're closing this meeting so we can move on to this workshop session. So we're closing the meeting now.
Okay, yes, Madam Clerk, my vote is just to close the meeting, and my other comments I'm gonna save for the workshop. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome. Councilman Jackson? Councilman?
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Yeah,
So-
we're closing too. Sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Council President, I think this is a great idea by the 6th Ward Councilman. And in fact, I want to apologize because I ran a little bit behind. I was working on a piece of legislation myself that I'm hoping that we can bring forward for a vote to vote it on the agenda at our next regular meeting. I think it's very disappointing. It's actually it's appalling the fact that the person, our mayor, who is tasked with ensuring and taking care of the wherewithal, the well-being of our community, just simply ignored this council's concerns at our Board of Health meeting, at our last meeting. And when we talk about the importance of testing and how the community should be ensured that their safety is our utmost first priority, and the fact that we have not done so as a city is very alarming to me. So I've been started working on it last night, a draft resolution that if we're having a difficult time with the funding for testing, then maybe the mayor should be willing to reduce his salary by a certain percentage that will allow the city to continue to do testing. He is the person who took on the challenge and or commitment to make sure that the community's best interest is put first. And the fact that we have people who are consistently, put in positions to help the service the community, and they leave with, just without no regard, is a big concern of mine. This council has the authority to reduce that, not just the mayor, but other members of these administration's salary, and we can utilize that money directly for COVID testing, because this is a very important issue. The fact that we stop testing when you just don't know, you don't know who's being infected. The mayor made a very big deal, which I'll make this very brief. We can talk about it further, but I think there was some racial implications that was implied when he singled out Councilman Mendez from returning from vacation. There's a lot of people who return from vacation. They weren't singled out, but there's an article in the paper saying that he's demanding that someone quarantines. We had our mayor was actually tested positive and did not quarantine. So there's a very gross, irresponsible activity that's going on. I'm asking for this council, and it came by way of recommendation of one of our constituents, Mr. David Sue. I'm thinking that he may even call in tonight. But, our constituents are concerned, and we need to make sure that we're taking the concerns of our constituents seriously. And as I'm voting yes for a close of this meeting, Council President, I'm hoping that that's something that will be considered. And if we don't put it on the agenda, I would ask for a call for a vote to put it on the agenda during our next regular meeting. But in the meantime, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Kalik?
Yes.
Councilman Mendez?
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and this is very brief. Since Councilman Jackson, brought this to the on the closing of this meeting, and I appreciate his comment because that was the truth, that was the reality, and it was really sad that when I noticed that the mayor was putting all his time into follow about what was doing, even though that I didn't put any meeting together when I came back. I was waiting on my schedule to do my test. Thank God I was COVID-19 negative. But it's really sad that that he's not taking into consideration the well-being and the safety of our community by ignoring us during this past Tuesday meeting. That I really believe that it's just it's a crime. The damage is already done. We've been the health department stopped doing the 6-day testing for a week, and this is the time that he have not paid attention to that matter, and now it's so irresponsible that I cannot express my insatisfaction. And instead of that, he started attacking me. And this thing is all political, but I'm not here to play politics. I'm here to do business, and I'm here to represent the taxpayer. And COVID-19, this pandemic, this is an emergency. And when I hear that the administration is taking a break from testing 6 days a week, I still don't understand. Knowing that our health officer, recommend the administration to go back to the 6-day, They're still ignoring the health officer, and also they're still ignoring all our comments. Instead of going back 6 days, they didn't take any action. So that's a lot of the administration. My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Councilman Mims?
This is to close the, meeting.
We're closing this special meeting.
My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Councilman Velez?
Madam Clerk, I'm gonna make it short and sweet, every time that we, in this meeting, I just think there's a lot of people out there suffering, there's a lot of people dying, there's a lot of people in stress, there's a lot of people going through hardship. We are legislators, we're here to make sure that our city runs according to what the constitution that voted for us, gets. So, my vote is yes to close this special meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. President?
So really quick, council colleagues, whenever you don't like something, a line item in the budget, we can always vote to change it. We don't have to do an ordinance, not a resolution, but an ordinance to change people's salaries. For example, if the administration proceeds to hire additional staffing that were not recommended when we did our budget hearings, all we have to do is, when they introduce their budget, we could always change it. With 6 votes, we could increase it, and we could decrease it with 5. So, Councilman Mendez, and the rest of my colleagues, if we want more money allocated for COVID testing, then we could always act as a council and do it at the time of, of voting on these budgets. It is just disturbing that we had to, after we recommended, we took the time to have this meeting, we still did not proceed to take the council's recommendation. I remember when we first started this, when this first came up, this pandemic, the administration got involved in a lot of questionable practices when it came to hiring all these companies or bringing all these companies into the city for testing, because testing was, needed to be done and we couldn't waste a day. That's why it was an emergency. Now that we have the resources, believe it or not, we do have the resources. Javier just stated that we have 1.5 million surplus in the utility. I'm not saying that we should utilize that. I'm sure there's money in other places. If we stop hiring people, I'm sure we could be able to do that and maybe cut the overtime spending. But we should continue with some of the testing, not reduce it to 2 days. But I'm going to leave it at that, Madam Clerk. We got to go into the workshop meeting. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. The vote is 8 in favor, 1 absent. The special emergency meeting of January 12, 2021, 6 p.m. is hereby closed. Mr. President, we'll have, everyone has to log off again and log back in.
Sure. Thank you.
So we just wait for Ryan to get us all set. Thank you.